Hare Krishna Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to Krishna. Those who are joining us online, and welcome to the temple room who are here today. Yes, so today we're here to celebrate the appearance of Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda is none other than Balaram. For those who are not familiar with Nityananda and Gauranga, who are our deities here, Lord Chaitanya on our right as we look at him, and Lord Nityananda on the left, then they are Krishna and Balaram. So today's program also, we will be celebrating the installation anniversary of Srimati Vrinda Devi, who is in the other small temple room, around the other side of this temple room. And we'll also be observing the anniversary of the inauguration of the puja of all the shaligrams, including Sri Tulsinath, who you can see on the far right on the altar here, perhaps. So we'll be speaking a bit about the shaligrams. So thanks to Guru Bhakti and back to Ian for a nice Kirtan. And in a moment I'll give a little introduction and a talk about the shaligrams and their journey to Krishna. And then we'll sing a bhajan called the Vrinda Devi Ashtakam, which is the 8 verses glorifying Srimati Vrinda Devi. And then Jennifer Priya is going to give a talk on Srimati Vrinda Devi herself, so the devotees can become familiar with the glories of Vrinda Devi. And then there'll be a bhajan about Lord Nityananda. It'll be the, what's it called? Nityananda Ashtaka. So, never before heard here in Krishna Bhavan. Let's hope it'll work out. And Atalksha Prabhu will be giving a talk on the glories of Lord Nityananda. And then we'll finish with Gaura Arti and Prasad. So we hope that you've cooked a nice feast at home to offer to Lord Nityananda. And if you haven't, then you can wait till after the program. So I won't really say anything about Lord Nityananda and Srimati Vrinda Devi just now, because I'll leave that to the other devotees. But just briefly, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are considered to be like the sun and the moon having risen simultaneously. So when there's darkness and the moon comes, then it gives some light. And when the sun comes, also light. So these two personalities of Godhead in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada in the chapter 5 of Adi Lila said that there's no difference between Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. There's no difference between Krishna and Balaram, except for the different colour of dhoti. And Krishna is blackish, whereas Balaram is white. But still, Lord Balaram, or Lord Nityananda, sometimes he's known as Nityananda Balaram or Nityananda Ram, although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he always assumes the servitor in relationship to Lord Chaitanya, and therefore he is always organising and facilitating the Lord's pastimes. And specifically in Kali Yuga, he's organising and facilitating the pastimes of Harinam Sankirtan. So this is the prime purpose of Lord Nityananda's appearance, is to facilitate Lord Chaitanya's desires to liberate everyone through the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So when we put our hands up and we're chanting, that means I'm yours, I'm surrendered, take me. Then we put it back down and say, I was only joking. Just for that minute. So, there's many nice bhajans about Lord Nityananda, and there's one, Bhaja Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gauranga, Namare, Jai Jana Gauranga, Bhaja Seya Mara Pranare. So, one who chants the holy name of Lord Chaitanya, one who worships Lord Chaitanya, and one who takes Lord Chaitanya into their heart becomes the life and soul of Lord Nityananda. So if we want to get Lord Nityananda's mercy, then we simply have to chant Gauranga and serve this mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And with Srimati Vrinda Devi, the name Vrinda, we can connect with Vrindavan, the forest of Vrinda. It's interesting, both Lord Nityananda and Srimati Vrinda Devi, if one wants to enter into the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, you have to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. If one wants to enter into Vrindavan, you have to get the mercy of Vrinda Devi. So it's no coincidence. So now we will speak about Shalagram Shilas, and we have a little slideshow to accompany this. Can we see this okay on the screen? I'm not in the way of anybody. If I just turn it this side a little bit. So can anyone tell me what this temple is called that you're sitting in? Krunabhavan. Okay, does anybody not know how it's named Krunabhavan? Shalagram. A specific shalagram, that's right. So, do you have a picture? So the first deity we had is Sri Sindhu Bhagavan Ki Jai. So this deity, the Shalagram Shila, is a form of the Lord who is self-manifesting. Shalagrams don't require to be installed. Normally a deity is made out of different elements, can be marble, metal, so many different elements are there. And these particular forms of the Lord, when they're fashioned according to descriptions of the scriptures, then they have a murti stapana process where we invite the Lord to come and be present in the deity form to accept our worship. But this form of the Lord, the Shalagram Shila, does not require installation because they're known as self-manifesting forms of the Lord. And although Prabhupada didn't emphasize much this type of worship, he did say that he would introduce it later on. He did emphasize especially the spreading of the holy name, and he did emphasize the book distribution, which is known as Brihat Mridanga. It's interesting that to worship the Shalagram, there's a few essential simple items that you require. Can anybody name one or two or three of them? Water? What kind of water? Just fizzy water? Highland Spring? Ganga? Jal. That's it. Yeah, Ganges water. So of course, we're not situated here in Scotland near the Ganges, although it sometimes does feel a bit Himalayan. But you can make Ganga Jal or make Ganges water. A Brahmin will make Ganga Jal or Ganges water by chanting a certain mantra, Gangi Cha Yamuna Chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmadi Sindakavari Jalismin Sanadum Kuru. And he used a particular mudra to invoke the 7 sacred rivers into the water, including the Ganges. And then we bathe the deities in this and we offer Tulsi. So this is the basic, simple way of worshipping the Shalagram, with Ganges water and Tulsi. But also, more important, is worshipping by Kirtan. Shalagrams are very fond of Kirtan. And this is good because in this age of Kali, then anybody can offer Kirtan to the Lord. Also, Shalagrams are not to be worshipped by non-Brahmins. One should be second initiated in order to worship the Shalagram. And this particular Shalagram Shila, Kruna Sindhu, is a Rana Ram Shila, which means Rana means king, just like Rani means queen. So Rana Ram means King Ram. And he was given to Srila Prabhupada on his first visit to South India. So he was actually the first Shalagram in ISKCON. And he was worshipped by Prabhupada's disciple Pradyumna, then Jayatirtha, and then Balabhadra. And he was his personal deity for many years. And from the very beginning of our stay here in Scotland, then Crunaboven was named after this particular deity. And the devotees who were there in the beginning and who know that deity are very fond of that Lord, form of the Lord. And Crunaboven still is named. And it's interesting also because Sindhu is his name, which means ocean of mercy. And sometimes Lord Nityananda is also called Sindhu or Kripa Sindhu, ocean of mercy. So there's the Shalagram Shilas, according to different markings on them, can be worshipped as different forms of the Lord. Although Prabhupada says that the devotee can worship Shalagram as Krishna, which is a higher form of worship. One time a devotee said to Prabhupada that according to the markings is a certain type of Vishnu Shila, and Prabhupada says you can worship him as Krishna. And then the devotee was kind of arguing, he says, I'm saying Krishna. So when the spiritual master, who's a pure devotee of the Lord, has given you the benediction to worship the Lord as Krishna, then that's what we do. We don't say, I think he's actually a Narayan Shila. When he says you worship him as Krishna, then he's given you the blessing to worship as Krishna. So there's different types, there's two different ways to do deity worship, and specifically Shalagram worship. There's a Sakama and Akama. So Sakama means that we're worshipping the Lord for some desire, material desire to be fulfilled. And when we do that, we have to be following some very stringent rules and regulations and intricate rituals, etc. But a devotee who's following in the path of bhakti, they worship Akama, which means not for a personal desire, but for the pleasure of the Lord. So when we worship the Lord for the pleasure of the Lord, we can simply worship with Ganges water, Tulsi and Kirtan. And if we offer some arti or some boga, some naivedyam, some foodstuffs, then the Lord is very pleased with that. So Shalagram worship can be very simple, and it can be very opulent as well. So so where to find these deities of the Lord? We don't just find them anywhere. It's not that you can go into some kind of a geological shop and pick a couple of fossils and worship them, although to the mundane eye they appear to be like some kind of fossil, and sometimes they're referred to as that in mundane sense. Then the devotees who worship them, the Lord reciprocates. I have a little personal experience with that. Early days of Crunaboven, if anybody knows the room, which is my office, used to be the side temple room where all the Shalagrams were. We had at that time, and specifically starting with Sri Sindhu. So at that time there were maybe about a dozen or so Shalagrams in there. And my mind was becoming a bit doubtful. Does anybody ever experience doubts at times? Hands up. Some of you are pure devotees, don't have any doubts, so you might get more of your association. So sometimes the mind can throw some doubts in there. And I was thinking, yeah, this is very nice, but maybe it's just my imagination. Bowing down in front of a stone, reading these different books. It could be just a very nice story, a nice elaborate story, and so forth. So my mind was being a bit demoniac. It was coming up with so many doubts. And then I thought, well, what do I trust? And then I realised, well, I trust the words of Srila Prabhupada. So far everything he's said has benefited me in life. So I don't have any doubts about Srila Prabhupada. And what did he say about deity worship? He says that if you think the deity is made of wood, then we have a wooden head. That's a saying in Scotland, wooden head. Or if we think the deity is simply made of stone, then our heart is stone. He says, but if we bow down before the deity, then the Lord will reciprocate. So when I thought like that, then immediately I bowed down in front of the Shalagrams and my doubts just disappeared completely. And the Lord was very kind and reciprocated. And one also can experience... Oh yes, so I'll just explain something else. So generally they have different shapes and they can be various sizes as well. So there's one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. His name was Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So anyone who's ever been to Vrindavan, if they go to the Radha Raman temple, you'll see this wonderful form of Krishna in the Tribhanga form. Tribhanga means threefold bending form of Shyamasundar. He's bending in three places and he's playing a flute. So this deity originally was, I think he was a Damodar Shila, as they call. And typically the way you would obtain a Shila was you would go on a pilgrimage, usually by foot, to, especially back in those days, to the river Gandaki, which is, can be found in Nepal. And you would go and stand up to your waist in water, you'd chant Gayatri, and you would offer some prayers and some mantras, and you'd request a certain form of the Lord to appear. And on the top of the water you'd have your hands like this, and the deity would come up and plonk himself on your hands. So that's the devotional and traditional way of doing that, authorised way of doing that. Of course, we're not so maybe devotional and we're a bit wimpy. We're not going to stand up to our waist deep in Gandaki, freezing cold water for long. But we'll come to this in a minute, how the shalagrams were found in Gandaki. So he did worship this form of Shalagram Shila for some time, but then the other Goswamis of Vrindavan, they had forms of Radhashama Sundar, Radha Damodar, etc. And they were able to dress their deities very nicely. And he was thinking, oh, it would be nice if I could have a form of the Lord to dress like that. So one morning he got up and his desire was fulfilled. The Shalagram who was there manifested as Sri Radharaman. And if you're familiar with the look and the texture of Shalagram Shilas, then anybody who knows that, you take one look at Radharaman and you know this is the fact. So the Lord can manifest himself to reciprocate according to the desire of the devotee. Incidentally, the cooks at this Radharaman temple cook on an open fire. They cook on like wood stove, and that fire which they cook on is the initiation fire of Gopal Bhatta Goswami from over 500 years ago. Back in those days, devotees, when they got initiated, they'd take embers from the fire they were initiated with, and they would preserve that and keep the fire going. When they do fire yajnas, they would take from that fire, and when they cook for the deities. So that fire, which is still cooking for Radharaman, has been kept alight since over 500 years. And if you ever get a chance to take that Mahaprasadam, then it is truly out of this world. I mean, prasadam is out of this world, but you certainly know it. So it's a wonderful darshan, and if you get the opportunity, if you haven't seen this deity, Radharaman, then go and visit him when you get the chance. So we'd just like to say now, on the altar, if we can see Sri Tulsinath here on the right. I don't know if he can be seen, if you can get a nice view of him. So Sri Tulsinath and many other shalagrams which we have in the other temple room, then back in 1998, a couple of devotees, Prabhupada Vani and myself, were given a task to go and get some shalagram shilas from Gandaki. Actually, it was a bit of a joking spirit which somebody took seriously. So Balabhadra Prabhu, who was very keen on shalagram worship, and he was known for that. He had a very high standard of deity worship. His standard of cleanliness and offerings were a very high standard. And it became known that he was a worshipper of Shalagram Shila. So sometimes devotees take up worship and then after some time they give it up because it's too troublesome. So Shalagram Shilas were coming in the post, or people were bringing shalagrams if they're giving up the worship. The thing with shalagram is it's called Nitya Puja. When you start it, you're not supposed to stop it. It's not something whimsical. But sometimes that happens. People make a promise and then they find that they can't keep it. But anyway, he was known for a high standard of worship in the shalagrams. So somehow or another, although we can never be a refuge for the Lord, then the shalagrams were coming here and we were getting to worship more and more. So we started off with one and then it became I think 12 is a Kirtan, 54 is a Kshetra, and 108 is considered to be a holy dam. This is according to certain sources. So he did end up with a few hundred at one time. And then one time, Shiva Ram Swami phoned up and said, he said, I know a place which has got more shalagrams than you have. He says, where's that? He said, under the altar at Jagannath Puri. I think he said there was 1 lakh of Shilas there, or 10 lakhs, or whatever it was. He says, beat that if you can. So it was a bit of a joke, but then we got sent to Nepal to find so many shalagrams. So we'll just do a little slideshow showing you that journey. So Prabhupada Vani had been to Nepal before, and in Kathmandu you have these shalagram wallahs who buy and sell shilas. Now according to Shastra, you should never buy or sell a shila because you cannot put a price on the Lord. That's like saying, oh, this form of the Lord's worth 20 rupees, but that one's only worth 15, and this one's a special one that's worth 1,000 rupees. So such a thing is considered to be very mundane and offensive, that we try to put a material value on the Lord. But that was his experience of getting shalagrams, because our logic behind it was, well, at least if we take those shalagrams from these people, we can worship them according to the Bhakti tradition. And it was quite humorous, actually, some of the exchanges that took place. So there was a lot of speculation goes on about the markings. So there was one shalagram, this Srila Walla was shown us. It says, yeah, this is a man performing austerities in a cave. And he was coming up with so much nonsense. And we said, oh, well. So he was showing us 5 Shilas. And so we were showing a lot of interest. We said, well, that must be really valuable. How much for all of them? No, 6,000 rupees. How much for this one? 5,000. Wow. Okay, that's good. We'll just take the other ones then. Because in our mind, we know the value of one Shila and the value of another Shila. It's the same Supreme Lord. And we also, I must admit, we actually stole some Shilas because we reasoned that you're not allowed to sell, you're not allowed to buy. So taking these Shilas, whereas just preventing him from committing offences. So we said, it was just like, the kids in the sweet shop. They say, oh, can you get me some sweets from up there? Yeah, okay. And they get on the ladder and they go up, meanwhile you fill in your pockets. So I'm not saying that I ever did that, or saying anyone else ever did, but, I've seen it done. So we do that, we say, oh, do you have any such and such Shilas? Yes, that's good. They'll just go round the back and get some. Meanwhile, we were just putting some Shilas in their pockets. And we realised that the mammoth task we were given to get so many thousands of Shilas, we were originally told to get 100,000 Shilas. And I thought this is going to be a few lifetimes of a service to do. Especially when we got to there. So this is the Lumbini Airways. I don't know if they're still operating. Do you know if they are? Lumbini is a place in Nepal where they say that Buddha appeared. So it's a little kind of 18, is it an 18-seater now? Yeah, he knows a lot about planes. And it's just like travelling in a minibus with wings. And you're up in the air and you see the driver, the pilot, sorry. Mm-hmm. Who was driving it? It wasn't me. I would have fallen asleep in those days. He was doing some handbrake turns to go around the corners. So yeah, in those days there was no road to the place where we had to go. The Gandaki comes all the way through down to Kathmandu, but you want to go more towards the source of it. We couldn't quite get the permit to go further up to Lomantang, but we went to Muktinath, where there's one lovely temple of Vishnu. We'll see some pictures in a minute. And we went to Kagbeni, which is the confluence of a couple of rivers there, Gandaki and I can't remember. Just as you have Triveni, you got the Kagbeni. Triveni is 3 rivers confluence, and Kagbeni was 2 rivers. And specifically, we found a place called Eklabati, where there was a little lodge. We stayed there, and that's where we found most of the shalagrams. So nowadays, actually, you can drive all the way up there. But in those days, you either had to do a 3-day walk, or you could get the half-hour flight. So the half-hour flight, although it sounds like the easy option, they only did 3 flights a day at most. One was at 9 a.m., 9:30 and 10 a.m. And it's one of those flights which sometimes they don't fly at all if it's too windy, or they may fly 1 or 2 flights. Or they may even fly and then turn back, it's too windy, but it gets to a certain point where there's a point of no return, that you go a certain distance and you can't come back, it's too dangerous. And there's history of planes not making it to the destination as well. And the runway is just one of those kind of plateau runways where it comes along like this and then it drops. So when you're coming in, that's one thing, but when you're going out, then you don't have anywhere. When you get to the end of the runway, that's the end of the runway. As in, if somehow or another the plane conks out or you don't get enough speed, then down you go. I know one devotee who was on this trip to Gandaki, and he was on a plane which suddenly fell about 2,000 feet, but it did recover again. So these pilots are very skilled. Normally when you take a flight, even in like typical economy flights, the pilot, there's a door between the pilot and the passengers, so you don't really see how they're driving it. But in this case then, you could see there was a lot of turbulence in the air, and every time there's a bit of turbulence, he's like this and like that. And you're flying through the mountains, so there's a lot of wind coming through there. And within this mountain range, there's 8 of the highest peaks that you'll find. So we'll just go on to the next one. So this is Lumbini Airways, where we took the flight. So we decided we could have done the more eco thing of walking there for 3 days there and 3 days back, but we thought let's just spend more time looking for shalagrams. So this is Muktinath actually, which is about 12,000 feet up, and it's halfway up Dholagiri mountain. And these are some of the places you can stay when you go up there. So generally people don't go up there in this time of year when it's snowy and cold and things. It can be quite dangerous. You usually go more when it's more kind of tourist season. Next picture. So that's Dholagiri there, as taken from the rooftop of where we stayed. Next. And this is Sri Muktinath temple. So Muktinath temple, it's interesting, you see a lot of prayer flags, although it is a Vishnu temple. The interesting thing in Nepal is that even our Sherpa, our tour guide, we asked him, so are you Hindu or Buddhist? And he had to think for a bit, and he said, oh, I'm Hindu. Because the interesting thing there is that they all go to each other's temple functions. They're not drawing in so much of a demarcation. So we see, although this is a Vishnu temple, there are Buddhist prayer flags there. And in this temple, we have the deity of Muktinath, who is Lord Vishnu, who awards liberation. And we also have the deity of Sita Devi, and have you been to that one?
Bhudevi and Sudevi.
Bhudevi.
Next to Muktinath. On each side of Muktinath.
That's right. So we couldn't take photographs inside the temple, but we were able to take some photographs outside. And round the back of the temple you have the 108 wells, where many people strip down to their gamcha and they run underneath these wells and take a bath, which is ice cold water. Okay, next one. So another picture of the entrance to Muktinath temple. Simple but very nice. And we were welcomed there, and we said to Pujaris, we were told that you can get shalagrams here. Where do we find them? And he says, oh, you don't really get them here. He says, you go back to Kagbeni. But there's another little temple just across the road from there, and he gave us, because we were out on a mission, we showed him pictures of our altar in Krunabhavan with shilas already, and he gave us a couple of shilas off the altar, which they'd been worshipping for some time. Next. It's another picture of the mountain range up there from the top of the roofs. Next one. So this is Kagbeni, the little village of Kagbeni here. And this is taken from the pass as we're coming back from Muktinath. And you can see there's a lot of cultivation of land going on there. It's quite a small community, but they're quite self-sufficient. So at the point of Kagbeni, as you're coming up, when your flight arrives in a place called Johnson, and it's like a 2-hour walk from there to Kagbeni, like 2.5 hour walk. And at that point, when you get to Kagbeni, you can turn right and go to Muktinath, or you can go straight on, but there's a sentry point there that unless you have a specific permit to go there, then you can't go any further. So of course, being ISKCON devotees, we chanced it and we thought, oh, let's just see if we can walk through it. And of course they stopped us. But they're very concerned about the environment there because there's hardly any trees, anything like that grows there. In the hostel we stayed at, then it takes them like a couple of days journey just to get some firewood. So they don't have enough wood for heating and basically just have enough for cooking. And whenever they have a fire, they're very conscious about using that fire, and they've got loads of flasks of hot water around the place and things. So if you want to go past Kagbeni up towards Mustang or Lomantang, then you have to have a special permit and you have to take everything with you that you're going to need for the trip, and you have to bring everything back that you use. So a very good example of conservationism, of not just the ecology but the economy. They don't allow you to donate, to give money to people because it upsets the economy there. So they're quite smart. Okay, next picture. So this is the Gandaki River winding down through Kagbeni. You can see like paddy fields and stuff here. And normally the Gandaki is filling the full banks here, but you see it's just a little rivulet here coming through, winding through. And this was especially fortunate for us because we had a lot of shilograms to find, and they're in the riverbed because it was winter time. Then all the snow on the mountains hadn't melted yet, so the rivers were quite dry, so we had a dry riverbed to find the shilograms. Otherwise we'd have to get into the water, which would have been freezing cold. Next. And that's myself there on the bank of the little rivulet coming off, one of the rivulets coming off the Gandaki there, and finding shilograms. So when we got there at first, we couldn't see any, couldn't find any at all. And we realised this is not going to be some mundane task where you just go up there and you collect them and that's it, and you go away again. So we had to make some prayers, just as they previously were saying that the devotees would go there and stand waist up, chant Gayatri mantra and make some prayers, and then the Lord would appear. Then we realised that the Lord doesn't appear, he can't be forced to appear, so we had to pray. And then when we prayed, we started to see, this type of stone is a Shila, and that one's, and that one, and that one. So what we would do is, because we had to get a lot of them, then when you go to find that Shila that you see, by the time you get there, the other ones you see next to it you couldn't find again, so you'd kind of map it out in your mind. And there was many, we decided that we had to get many small ones because we had to get like 100,000, so we thought let's get the smallest we can. But small Shilas are not so easy to find, and there were so many big ones, but it's like, this is an amazing Shila, we can't not take this one back to Krunabhavan. So by the end of the day we'd go back to our little hostel, and it was freezing cold because it was February at that time of the year. It was pretty cold up there, and nobody but a couple of ISKCON devotees were daft enough to go up there. And it was a bit of a kind of survival course. It's interesting, so they had anyway, I could speak for a good bit longer, so I better trim it down because there's other things to be said and done. So anyway, we did actually collect a lot of Shilas there. We spent a couple of weeks there intensely searching out many shaligrams, and then we went to Vrindavan and took many of those shaligrams and left them in the Scottish Yatra's house there. And then we went back again and did another 2-week trip up at the Gandaki. And we tried to minimise we travelled very lightly so we could take some shaligrams back. So we were living on powdered milk and puffed rice for quite a period of time, which was okay for the first couple of days. And then after a while it got a bit austere when you're eating the same thing all the time. But it was an austerity which was well worth it, because we were able to take with some very strong rucksacks with us, and we were able to take many shaligrams back. Next one, please. So while we were there picking shalograms, or searching for shalograms, next one, then there was this local Nepali. So in Nepal, they have this system of smashing the shalograms open and selling them to the tourists. And to do such a thing to us, that's like totally taboo. Just imagine someone goes in here and tries to break the deities, right? And nobody would allow it, right? Sometimes you get some crazy person comes to the temple and they want to do some harm to the deity. So we wouldn't allow that. So and he was trying to sell us, and we says, no, look, don't break. He didn't speak in English. We says, don't break, no, and we'll give you. And he was trying to break them and sell them to us. And says, okay, we're not going to buy any from you. Don't break any. We'll give you this. I think it was like 1,000 rupees, which was worth about a tenner or something. And says, and you just collect the shalograms and you bring them to us. Don't break, okay? All right, okay. So then he went away, and about 45 minutes later he came back with Sri Tulsinath. And that's Sri Tulsinath just been oiled. There's another picture with myself holding him before he actually got oiled, when he was just straight out the river. So this is the person who brought Sri Tulsinath to us, who I'll tell you a little bit about the story of getting the shalograms here as well. I'll try to finish up quickly here. So the authorities at the Johnson Airport, they generally don't like people taking shalograms away from there, because I guess also because their faith, they know that it's not right to sell shalograms, so they don't want people trading in shalograms. So we had to do a little bit of trickery to get them out of the airport. So what we did is we had a couple of jackets on, and we filled all our pockets full of shalograms and some bags underneath our jacket, and then we put another jacket on top and filled all our pockets with all sorts of junk. And then when they came, because we had an idea they'd probably search us, because sometimes they search you, so when they say, okay, have you got any shalograms? And we had Sri Tulsinath. We were thinking, actually, he's too big, we can't take him back, he's just far too big, because we've got to take so many back. But what happened was, it was so nice, we took him back to the room we were staying at, and he was just staying on the table with so many shalograms beside our bed. Actually, at night time, you were just dreaming of shalograms, and it was amazing. I had a dream that the next day I had a dream that there was a big shalogram on the embankment of the river, which it was about 8 foot tall, and I thought, maybe I'm going to discover this tomorrow. So I was like, oh, is he going to manifest? I was really excited. Didn't know, but I thought it was very purifying anyway. So anyone who's done the shalogram puja and who's massaging them can testify that you feel very purified by that association of massaging the Lord. So we were getting a lot of purification, we were feeling very blissful. And we thought, okay, we'll take this big shalogram and we'll put him back into the Gandaki at the Johnson Airport. But somehow or another it happened that I think we got up a bit late and we had to rush to the airport, so we thought we'll take him to Pokhara, where the flight takes you. We'll leave him there, we'll come back in a few weeks and then we'll bring him back up and put him back in the Gandaki. But what happened is we thought, I don't want to leave him in the hotel if something goes wrong. So we ended up going to Vrindavan. So before we got there anyway, we went to the airport. We had all this rubbish in our pockets, and by rubbish I just mean like every kind of small item you could think of, which was part of our kit. And they were saying, can you empty your pockets? So we're just doing it really slowly, one by one. And of course we're putting the pressure on because the plane's there and it's got to leave at a certain time because the wind's getting up. And we're going like that. Say, okay, never mind, just go. So we got to Pokhara, and we said, we can't leave this shalogram here, we don't know what happens if we don't get back, and this shalogram's sitting here, and so we can't leave this somewhere, we have to take it with us to Vrindavan and we'll bring it back. So we went to Vrindavan, and Shiva Ramraj had seen him, he'd seen Sri Tulsinath. He said, he'd look really good in Yuvrajadam altar. And so up to that point we're thinking we're going to take him back, and I thought, well, if he's going anywhere, I said to Maharaj, well, if he's going anywhere, he's going to Krunabhavan. So it so happened that he came back to Krunabhavan. Next one, if there's another one. So this is just a flight back from Johnson back to Pokhara, and next. We can see the Gandaki here coming down next. And this is Sri Tulsinath, where he was worshipped in Gauranga Ashram. If anybody gets the chance to see that room, you can see that there's still the Anantashesh, which is painted on the wall in 3D form. That is still there. And next one. And we used to have a big Snanvedi, big bathing tray, where we would do very opulent bathing ceremonies of Sri Tulsinath on this particular festival. It used to be a 3-day festival, but nowadays we don't have so many devotees, and we roll these 3 days into a 1-day festival. So there's the Lord is very pleased with the bathing ceremonies, and we used to typically offer him auspicious items. And at one point we did a bathing ceremony of 108 different types of bathing things, like fruit juices and gomutra and ghee, yogurt, milk, scented rose water, so many things. I think that's the end of it, is it? One more. So here we're seeing Sri Tulsinath. We used to make garlands of fruit, and this is a typical thing you do when you're doing a abhishek or bathing of the deity, and then the Mahaprasadam is given out. And when you bathe with the 5 different items, then it's known as Panchamrita, which is like Charnamrita, only it's Charnamrita Deluxe. And is that the last one? Okay, and there's Sri Tulsinath there. Although Prabhupada didn't emphasize so much the worship of Shalagram Shila, and he did say it would be introduced later on, then anyone who's experienced the worship of Shalagram, they know that he's very merciful. But we have to be very strict in a devotee who's worshipping Shalagram. They have to be following very strictly. This is also one thing Srila Prabhupada said. He emphasised that. And according to the different deities you worship, then some are more merciful than others, or some are merciful in different ways than others. There used to be a saying that the mercy of the Shalagram is that he has no mercy. Now that's not entirely true, because his mercy is that if you make some mistake, you get the full reaction. If you worship Gaurnitai, they say, and you make a mistake, then you don't get the reaction. You might not develop love of God. You know, like there's so many different things we should avoid to do in the presence of the deities. Like we shouldn't eat directly in front of the deities, and things like that. We shouldn't. Anyway, there's so many different things. I won't go into that. And with Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, I think it's like 50%, is it? And Radha Krishna, something like 70 or 80% reactions you get. With Shalagram, 100% reaction. So therefore it's meant for devotees who are very serious and regulated and strict in their devotional life. So we'll just stop it there, and we don't have time for questions, I'm afraid, because I've taken it on a little bit. Okay. Sri Tulsinath Maharaj ki, Sri Shalagram Shila's ki, Sri Kodnitai Mapashasha ki, Srimati Vrinda Devi ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. So the next part of the program is the end of the dance taking, isn't it? So we'll just go through that quite quickly. Am I singing it? Is Vrinda going to play harmonium for this? I could play the mridanga if someone can play the 1-2 time. I hope you can do that. Can you play 1-2 on the kartals? Harmonium fest today. Can we do the translation first? So So now we're starting on the second part of the festival, which is glorification of Srimati Vrinda Devi. So this Vrinda Devi Astakam, or the 8 prayers glorifying Srimati Vrinda Devi, we're going to sing this, and here's the translation. You are bathed by streams of splendour that rebuke gold, lightning, and the champaka flower. Your splendid garments are friend to the banduka flower, O Vrinda, about your lotus feet. Your face is splendid with a pearl decorating the tip of your nose and a wonderful gentle smile on your bimber fruit lips. You're decorated with wonderful jewel ornaments, O Vrinda, about your lotus feet. Vishvanu's daughter Radha made you guardian of Krishna's opulent and auspicious abode of Vrindavan, the crest jewel of all Vaikuntha planets. O Vrinda, about your lotus feet. By your order, the groves where Madhava enjoys pastimes are splendidly decorated with blossoming flowers, bumblebees, deer, honey, and other things, O Vrinda, about your lotus feet. Because you became their messenger, the eager and youthful divine couple enjoyed the perfection of transcendental pastimes in the forest, O Vrinda, about your lotus feet. By your mercy, the people attain residence in Vrindavan, the desire to serve your master's lotus feet and the desire to assist in the rasa dance, O Vrinda, about your lotus feet. They who are learned in the Sattvata Tantra glorify you. You are Krishna's pastime potency. The tulsi plant is your form in the world of men. O Vrinda, I bow to your lotus feet. O merciful one, they who have no devotion and they whom millions of offences have thrown into the waves of lust and other vices take shelter of you, O Vrinda, I bow to your lotus feet. And we can see this also in the Tulsi Arti prayers, that one can be released from any sins, even the most grievous sins, by circumambulating Tulsi Devi. A person who's like a bumblebee at the lotus feet of Vrindavan's king and queen, and who reads or hears this Vrindastika, will eternally reside in Vrindavan and attain loving service to the divine couple. Srimati Vrinda Devi ki. Gangeya Champeya Tadevininde Rochi Pravasnapi Tatma Vrinde. Bandhu Duti Devya Vaso Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam. Imbadaro Didvaramanda Hasyana Sagra Mukta Juti Depitasya. Barana Shriyadhye Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam. Samasta Vaikunta Shiro Manoshi Krishnasya Vrindavana Danyadamni. Dattadikari Vrishabhanu Putriya Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam. Dattadikari Vrishabhanu Putriya Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam. Tvadagyaya Palava Pushpa Bringa Mrigadibir Madhava Keli Kunja. Madhvadibir Banti Vibhushamana Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam. Vadiyadutyanani kunjayunoratyutkayo kelivilasa siddhi. Tatsobhagam kenani ruchatam padvinde namaste charanadavindam. Rasavilaso vasakishcha vrindavane tvadishangri sarojaseva. Labhya chapum sham kripaya tavaiva vrinde namaste charanadavindam. Tam kirtyase satvata tantra vidvi lila vidana kila Krishna shakti. Tavaiva murtis tulasi mriloke vrinde namaste charanadavindam. Bhakchavihina paradalaksha kshipatascha kamaditarangamajhe. Kripamai tvam sharanam prabhana vrinde namaste charanadavindam. Vrindastakam yashinuyat patitva vrindavanadisha padavya vrinda. Saprapya vrindavana nityavasam tat prema sevam labhate kritartam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vrinda Devi ki, Sri Nityananda Ram ki. So we'd just like to now invite Jennifer Priya to come and speak about the glories of Srimati Vrinda Devi.
Hare Krishna. So it's not quite the appearance day of Srimati Vrinda Devi today, but her appearance day here in Scotland. Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi, she appeared on the full moon day of the last full moon day or night of Kartik. So it was a few months ago, but in Scotland she appeared in 1999. I think it was the end of January or beginning of February on Nityananda Trayodasi we started worshipping her. So, because it is the 22nd anniversary of that auspicious event, and that's why we have Vrinda Devi festival now. So 22 years is quite a long time. Children who were born at that time are already grown up, so it's quite a long time we had Vrinda Devi here. She's very merciful that she kindly stayed here despite her inability to worship her perfectly. So just the bhajan that we just sang, this Vrinda Devi Ashtaka, it's 8 verses, and then there's a 9th one which gives the falastuti, the results or the fruits of singing this prayer. So based on these 8 verses, I'll speak a little bit, or try to speak a little bit about the glories of Vrinda Devi. So the first verse is Gangeya Champeya Tadid Vrindi Rachi Pravahas Napitaipa Vrinde Bandhuka Bandhu Juti Divya Vaso Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam. O Vrinda, you are adorned with an extremely brilliant transcendental dress, which is as red as a bandhuka flower. By your own supremely beautiful luster, you put to shame the combined effulgence of pure gold, champaka flowers, and lightning bolts. And also by that luster of yours, you are continuously bathing your own personal associates, namely all the moving and non-moving residents of the Vrindavan forest. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your divine lotus feet. So if you go to see Vrinda Devi, everybody knows where she is. She's got this beautiful golden color, and she wears, in the Gora Gadandasha Dipika, it describes that she wears a blue outfit or a blue garment, but here she wears a different one every week, different color every week. Just today she put on a blue outfit, so when after the program maybe everyone can go around and see her. It's a beautiful blue outfit with the peacock feathers on it, so everybody can see her and pray for her blessings on this auspicious day. And then she also wears a nose ring. I don't know if you can see it from outside, but you might need to go inside. She always has like a nose ring. There's a little pearl or something she wears. And she's not just herself that she has this golden effulgence, but all her associates, all the other gopis, anybody who goes near her also starts having this golden effulgence. So we should try as much as possible be near Vrinda Devi, and then we can get her blessings, get her mercy, and a little bit of that golden effulgence maybe. This is the first verse. The second verse is Bimbadarodit Varamandahasya Nasagra Mukta Jyutidipitasi Vichitra Ratna Bayanashriyade Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam. O Vrinda, the countenance of your face is especially radiant, being decorated by your gentle, sweet smile, which has sprouted from your reddish lips resembling bimba fruits, as well as by being embellished with your pearl nose ornament. You are also endowed with loveliness by your body being decorated with multifarious, wonderfully jeweled ornaments. We therefore prostrate ourselves at your beautiful lotus feet. So if you go and see Vrinda Devi, you can make it your meditation. Try to remember what color ornaments or jewelry she's wearing every time you go and see her. Try to remember, and that will make your meditation on her deeper. You don't just kind of absent-mindedly, okay, she's still there. But actually try to remember what color jewelry she's wearing, what color outfit, how is the jewelry arranged. So that's a really nice meditation. There's also some information about her family in this Radha Krishna Ganadesha Dipika. It says that her father is called Chandra Banu and her mother is Pullara Devi. She has got a husband called Mahipala and she's got a sister called Manjari Devi. So just like in this world, we have a father and a mother and some of us a husband or a wife, sisters, brothers. In the same way, in the spiritual world, we have these same relationships. And not just have these relationships, but we also know the names of these associates of Krishna and their relatives. Okay. The next one is Samasta Vaikunta Shiromanu Shri Krishnasya Vrindavana Danyadamni Dattadikare Vrishabhanu Puchya Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam. O Vrinda, the supremely pure abode of Shri Krishna is known as Shri Vrindavan Dham, which is the crest jewel amongst all the planets of the spiritual sky, is presided over by the charming daughter of King Vrishabhanu, Shri Radhika. But she has awarded you with the power and authority to maintain this divine realm as your service to her. This is why we offer our most heartfelt obeisances unto your lotus feet. So Vrindavan is Vrinda Devi's kingdom or realm. But all the gopis, including Vrinda Devi, they want to serve Radharani, they want to serve Krishna. They want to offer everything to Radha and Krishna. So even though it's Vrinda Devi's kingdom, she offers it to Radharani. She says, everything I have is yours. My kingdom, this Vrindavan, is also yours. So she offers her kingdom to Radharani, and Radharani says, I'll accept it because it's very rude to refuse a gift or a present, but you can look after it, you can supervise it. So that's how both Radharani and Vrinda Devi are known as Vrindavanishwari, the queen of Vrindavan. And then Vrinda Devi's service, anybody knows what Vrinda Devi's service is?
To get all the paraphernalia together for the pastimes for that day. She's got warehouses with all kinds of costumes and jewelry and things.
Yeah, so like if you want to give a mundane example, if there is a movie or a film and somebody writes the script, what's going to happen in the film, that's Yoga Maya. She arranges what's going to be happening on that day's pastimes. And then there is, I don't know, I'm not really an expert, but there is a producer or somebody who finds all the locations and gets all the things together, or the things that are needed for the filming. So that's Vrinda Devi. So Yoga Maya, she's Lila Shakti. She arranges, she kind of works out what's going to be that day's pastimes. And then Vrinda Devi, like Adakshaja Prabhu says, she's got all the different outfits, all the different flowers and eatables and sweets and drinks and instruments and everything for the pastime. She kind of arranges that if the divine couple is in a certain mood, then the flowers bloom with that color to kind of enhance their pastimes. If they are in a different mood, then the flowers bloom in a different color. The birds chirp in a certain way according to how she wants. And then whenever there is something needed, then she's got all these warehouses. So sometimes when we arrange a festival here, it's really hard work, so many unexpected things can happen, emergencies can happen, and then we are running around trying to arrange for things. But with Vrinda Devi, she's got all the warehouses, everything is ready, she's got all her sakis, the other gopis who are helping her, and also she's got hundreds of thousands of parrots. Now we might not think of parrots as the best kind of things or people to help us in arranging a festival, but parrots are serving Vrinda Devi, but they're flying all around Vrindavan, and they're like little spies, because nobody notices parrots. There's so many of them in Vrindavan, so they're the best spies. So they see, Krishna is going this way, Radharani is going that way. Jatila, that's Radharani's mother-in-law, she's always trying to stop them from meeting. Kotila, Radharani's sister-in-law trying to stop them from meeting. So they're going this way, so the divine couple should go that way. So they're like these spies. They're doing spiritual reconnaissance, that's how you say it, yeah. And then going back to Vrinda Devi, telling her everything that's going on. So she sends them out again, and then they can make more arrangements. That's her parrot army, 100,000 parrots. And there's a pastime when once appreciating Vrinda Devi's hard work and service, Radharani arranged for Vrinda Devi and Krishna to be married. Of course, this is just a pastime, so they're not actually married, but Krishna was sitting there, and they suddenly set Vrinda Devi there as well, and then Lalita Devi, as the priest, started chanting wedding mantras. So in that way they wanted to kind of make Vrinda Devi happy, but of course Vrinda Devi wants Radharani and Krishna to be together, but that kind of enhances the pastime. The next verse 4, Tvayagya Pallava Pushpa Bringa Brigadibir Madhava Keli Kunja Madvadibir Bhanti Vibhushyamanam Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam. O Vrinde, all the multitudes of Lord Madhava's love-sporting bowers become supremely beautified by being decorated under your direction with fresh leaves, sprouts, flowers, bees, deer, peacocks, talking parrots, all types of animals and birds, as well as with wonderful seasons headed by spring. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your divine lotus feet. So it's not just flowers and bees and deer, but even the different seasons. So according to what kind of pastimes the divine couple are in the mood for, then there's different seasons. In Scotland, sometimes we get 4 seasons in one day. More likely it's just one season all year round, but there it can be like different seasons according to the moods. Usually spring, that's the nicest one. And then here it also says how she's got these parrots. And if you go and see Vrinda Devi, on her left hand there is a parrot sitting. That's her main head parrot. Anyone knows what he's called? Daksha, yeah. He's called Daksha, means expert, so he's very expert. But she's got many other parrots. When Vrinda Devi first came, 20 years ago, 22 years ago, there were 3 bird cages in that same room with parrots in them. So every time we dressed Vrinda Devi, we had to also sweep up all the kind of parrot seeds and everything else that comes of parrots. And it was a very kind of Vrindavan atmosphere, but unfortunately one by one the parrots went back to Godhead. So we don't have the living parrots now anymore. Okay. Next one, 5. Tvadiya Dutyena Nikunjayuno Ratyutkayo Keli Vilasa Siddhi Tvatsobagam Kena Niruchyatam Tad Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vindam. O Vrinda, by your expertly intelligent service as a messenger for the divine amorous couple of the bower, their transcendental love sports become successfully fulfilled. Who in this world could possibly even speak of your great fortune? We therefore must simply bow down before your beautiful lotus feet. So, if anyone, probably some of you have been to Vrindavan, it's Vrindakund, and just behind Vrindakund there is another kund, another little lake called Gupta Kund. Gupta means hidden or secret. So this secret place is where Radha and Krishna first meet in the morning. So that's where Vrinda Devi stays, that's where she starts arranging all the day's pastimes. And from Vrindakund, when you're standing there, you can actually see Nandagram, the hill of Nandagram, and then all the kind of tops of the temple. It's a very, very beautiful place. Maybe you can even see some pictures behind me as I'm talking. Okay. The next one, 6. Rashabilasu Vasatishcha Vrinda Vanetad Ishangri Saroja Seva Labhyacha Pumsum Kripayata Vaiva Vrinde Namaste Charanara Vinda. O Vrinda, devotees who have the desire to participate in the rasa dance, who long to live eternally in Vrindavan, and who hope to achieve and who hope only to achieve devotional service to the lotus feet of your most beloved lords, easily attain the everlasting fulfillment of all their desires by your most gracious mercy. We therefore bow down to your divine lotus feet. It's a very interesting verse. It says, if you desire to take part in the Rasa Lila, in the love dance of Radha and Krishna, then you can attain it by Vrinda Devi's mercy. So we might be sitting here thinking, this is just so far away, this is not relevant to me. I'm trying to attain being able to wake up in the morning without too much trouble, or not fall asleep while I chant my rounds. And that might be the case, but we should never forget that this is our ultimate goal. So even if we have our struggles right now in spiritual life, even after so many years, we might still have our struggles in spiritual life, but we should always keep in mind that the reason we are struggling is because we want to take part in Radha and Krishna's pastimes. We want to achieve that this is our ultimate goal. We shouldn't let our daily struggles kind of cover over this desire. So that's why when we go and see Vrinda Devi, I said that in her left hand she's got the parrot, Daksha, and her right hand is like this. That means like giving blessings. So when you pay obeisances, you can pray to Vrinda Devi to fulfill your desires. So whatever your desire is, that's up to you. You decide what your desire is, but with Vrinda Devi's blessing, you can even get the highest achievement, which is taking part in Radha and Krishna's pastimes and living eternally in Vrindavan. There's nothing better than that. And it's very interesting. I was listening to Indrajamna Maharaj's class about Vrinda Devi. He was saying there are 3 people you need to please to be able to enter deeply into Vrindavan. The 3 people, the first is Vrinda Devi, second is Purnamasi, and the third is Gopeshwar Mahadev. So when Vrinda Devi is pleased, then she gives you the right desire in your heart, that your desire is not to kind of have a really big pakora at the feast, or to kind of somehow you have forgotten when the devotees wake you up, or not these kind of desires, but your heart's desire is to kind of actually go back to Godhead and take part in Krishna's pastime. So Vrinda Devi can, even if you don't have the desire now, by Vrinda Devi's mercy you can get that. Purnamasi, she can make mystical arrangements. In Radha Krishna's pastime, she kind of creates replica gopis, so the gopis' husbands don't notice that they went away to have rasa dance with Krishna. And then Gopeshwar Mahadev is the protector of the dam, he's the protector of the rasa dance. So that's why Vrinda Devi is very, very important. 7. Tvam kirtyasi satvata tantra vidbir lila vidana kila Krishna shakti tavaiva murtis tulasinni loke vrinde namaste charanara vindam. O Vrinda, highly qualified sages who are well versed in the tantras of the mode of pure goodness, the scriptures written by the Lord's pure devotees, have praised you as being the personified energy of Lord Krishna known as Lila Shakti, the energy that helps perform his pastimes. You are also very famous in this world for your appearance here in the form of the tree known as Srimati Tulsi Devi. Therefore, we offer our most respectful obeisances unto your beautiful lotus feet. So, Vrinda Devi, she's the embodiment of Krishna's pastime potency. That's why she's arranging all these pastimes. Again, we are very, very fortunate that we have Vrinda Devi here in Scotland, but still she might seem very kind of difficult to relate to. But then we have Tulsi Devi, who is in a very easily relatable form. She's a plant. We have, I don't know how many Tulsi Devis down in the greenhouse next to Karuna Bhavan. So even if we can't relate to Vrinda Devi, at least we can relate to her kind of earthly form, so to speak, in the form of Tulsi Devi. So Tulsi Devi is the kind of mercy manifestation of Vrinda Devi. She came to this world. Okay. And there's just some glories of Tulsi Devi, because it's wonderful to glorify her. She says, just by looking at Tulsi, all of one's sins are removed. So when we go down, see in the greenhouse, look in the greenhouse, there's Tulsi Devi, we look at her, and all of our sins are removed. Or this morning, Tulsi Aarti, we look at Tulsi Devi, try to keep our eyes open. All of our sins are removed. Just by touching her, one's body becomes purified. All diseases are removed by praying to her. So if we have some disease, some problems, we can pray to her. Fear of death is destroyed by watering her. So in the morning when we water Tulsi Devi, fear of death is destroyed by that. Just by planting or transplanting her, one achieves realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If someone offers her leaves at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, Tulsi will award liberation and devotion to Krishna. So if you meditate on these wonderful glories of Tulsi Devi, you'll be so enthusiastic to be near Tulsi Devi, to serve Tulsi Devi, to even get the Tulsi leaf from the Maha, because it's got so much benefit. Maybe devotees will become so excited to help Vrinda serve Tulsi Devi and plant and transplant Tulsi Devi and everything like that. Okay, and it also says that Krishna doesn't accept any offerings unless there are Tulsi leaves on it. He doesn't care for the 56 offerings or 36 curries if they are offered without a Tulsi leaf. Okay, and on the Tulsi Devi's appearance day, on the full moon day of Kartik, Krishna himself worships Tulsi Devi with the following mantra: Krishna Jivani, Nandini, Pushpasara, Tulasi, Vishvapavani, Vishvapujita, Vrinda, Vrindavani. These are names of Tulsi Devi. Okay, next verse. Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay, kshiptascha kama ditaranga madhye, kripamayi tvam sharanam prapanna, vrinde namaste charanara vindam. Unfortunately, bereft of devotional service and due to committing hundreds and thousands of offenses, we have been cast deep into the ocean of material existence. Indeed, we are being tossed about by the terrible waves of lust, anger, greed, etc. O most merciful one, our souls are surrendered unto you, and we offer our most respectful obeisances unto your divine lotus feet. So quite often in the hearts of sincere devotees, this feeling comes that I'm an offender, I made so many offenses, I make so many mistakes, my heart, after so many years of chanting, I'm still got lust, anger, greed in my heart. What can I do? So we can pay our obeisances to Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi, and ask for her mercy, even if we feel that we are being thrown around in the waves of the ocean of material existence. We can surrender to Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi, ask for her blessings and take shelter at her feet. And a person who has Tulsi leaves in his mouth or on his head when he leaves his body, then he's guaranteed not to suffer in hell. Fortunately, I don't have too much experience with that so far. But a few years ago, when one of the alpacas, Shyama, left, he was suffering for a few days, and then you could see that he was kind of on his last few minutes. So we ran and got some Tulsi leaves, and Sachi put it in his mouth. So I think it's the best thing that can ever happen to an alpaca. We put some charanamrita in his head as well. So we definitely went to a very good place. And we chanted Kirtan for him as well. Okay, in the last verse, Vrindashtakam Shinuyat Patedva, Vrindavanadisha Padabja Bringa, Saprapya Vrindavana Nityavasam, Tat Prema Sevam Labate Kritarta. Whoever hears or recites these 8 prayers in glorification of Sri Vrinda Devi, becoming just like a bumblebee that is always anxious to taste the sweet nectar in lotus feet of the divine couple, such a person verily attains eternal residence in Vrindavan. Having finally achieved the supreme goal of life, one thus remains situated in the ecstatic loving service of the divine couple, Shri Shri Radha Madhava. So we just chanted this prayer. Everybody can chant it at home as well. It's called Vrinda Devi Ashtaka. If you chant these 8 prayers, then you are guaranteed residence in Goloka Vrindavan. So it's worth doing it. So you can go there and see Vrinda Devi, chant the prayers to her, and go back to Godhead. Srimati Vrinda Devi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I go
So thanks to Jennifer Priya for that wonderful enlightening talk about Srimati Vrinda Devi, sharing the glories. And when we hear about the glories of these wonderful divine personalities, that encourages us to take shelter and to engage in some kind of connection with these personalities. It's now the third part of the festival, which is actually the main part of the festival, is Lord Nityananda's appearance day. So Vrinda, not Vrinda Devi, but Vrinda Devi Dasi, is going to sing the next bhajan. And it's called the Nityananda... Nityanandashtaka. You come over here, yeah. And then that'll be followed by a talk given by a talk show on Sri Nityananda by God Arte. She's in. You can sit facing that and just put your hand on the middle on it. Is that right there?
Oh yeah, thank you. Translation. Okay, so just go through the translation first. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, whose bright face mocks the full autumn moon, whose pure complexion glistens, whose gait is like that of a maddened elephant, who is always intoxicated in Krishna prema, who embodies pure spiritual energy, whose face holds a gentle smile, whose eyes are always rolling due to his absorption in Krishna prema, whose lotus hand holds a glowing staff, and who, by the performance of Nam Sankirtan, pierces the influence of Kali Yuga. I'm trying to think it more personal. So I perpetually worship Sri Kodnitai, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who is the mainstay of all the rasas, who is everything to his devotees, who is beyond compare, who is the master of both Vasuda and Janvadevi, who consider him more dear than their own lives, who is always maddened in Krishna prema, who is unknown only to those of meager intelligence. I perpetually worship Kodnitai, the root of the tree, Krishna Bhakti tree, who is very dear to Sri Sachinanda. Who is worshipped by the entire universe, who is the embodiment of happiness, who possesses infinite mercy for delivering the souls who are drowning in the age of Kali, and who, by the performance of Sri Harinam Sankirtan, thwarts the progressing false pride of the ocean of repeated birth and death. I perpetually worship Sri Kodnitai, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who said to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, "Hey brother Gauranga, what will be the destination of the sinful souls of Kali Yuga, and how will they be redeemed? Please devise a method by which they will easily attain you." I perpetually worship Sri Kodnitai, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who wandered around Bengal and, approaching the door of each and every home, threw open his arms and exclaimed, "O brothers, all of you should eternally perform Sri Harinam Sankirtan together. By doing so, I will take the responsibility to deliver you all from the ocean of material existence." I eternally worship Sri Kodnitai, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who is the Agastya Muni, who forcibly swallows the ocean of repeated birth and death, who is a rising full moon which increases the ocean of saintly persons' welfare, and who is the sun which dissipates the darkness of ignorance cast by the various classes of miscreants. I eternally worship Sri Nityanda, the root of the tree devotion of Krishna Bhakti, who wandered on every path in Bengal, dancing, singing and calling out Hari Bol, Hari Bol, and who lovingly bestowed merciful sidelong glances upon those who were not compassionate to even their own selves. I eternally worship Nitai, the root of the tree, Krishna Bhakti tree, who held the supremely soft lotus hand of his brother Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, whose heart became filled with the highest bliss when the two brothers gazed into each other's faces, and who wandered here and there, delighting the townspeople with his sweetness. Sri Nityananda Ram Ki Jai.
Thanks, Vrinda, for that brave attempt at doing that very difficult bhajan. It's a metre which is often used in certain parts of the Brahma Samhita. It's not so commonly heard. It'll be very nice if you spend a bit more time on that. We can sing it again. And the special benedictions inviting Krishna Prema by inviting the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda upon her head. So we'd like to now ask Sri Krishna Prabhu to come and speak about the glories of Lord Nityananda.
Sri Nityananda Ram Ki Jai. This is from Chaitanya Bhagavad, chapter 6,
I think continuing online.
Awesome. This is Chaitanya. Chaitanya. Not Tanya, Chaitanya Bhagavat. And this is from Anshikanda, and it's chapter 6. And it's entitled, quite appropriately, The Glories of Lord Nityananda. Glory, glory to Lord Chaitanya, glory to Lord Nityananda, glory, glory to the Lord's devotees. Accompanied by his servants, Lord Nityananda enjoyed the bliss of Sankirtan in this way. Lord Nityananda enjoyed the same pastimes he'd enjoyed in Vrindavan. He made every heart sincerely attracted to Lord Chaitanya. In his company, the devotees became wild with ecstasy. Lord Nityananda, the abode of great glory and effulgence, wandered in all of Navadvip. His body was fully decorated with ornaments and flower garlands. His red lips glistened with betel nuts and camphor. Seeing Lord Nityananda Rama's pastimes, some people became delighted, but in other people, faith in Lord Nityananda did not take birth. In Navadvip lived a Brahmin who had previously been a student of Lord Chaitanya. Seeing Lord Nityananda's pastimes, this Brahmin felt a doubt take birth in his heart. This Brahmin had firm devotion to Lord Chaitanya, still he had no power to understand Lord Nityananda. By the Lord's will, this Brahmin went to Jagannath Puri, where he happily stayed for some days. Every day this Brahmin went to visit Lord Chaitanya. He had great faith in Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. One day, by the Lord's will, in a private place, this Brahmin asked a question that stayed in his heart. The Brahmin said, Lord, there is one request I would like to place before you. If you wish, you may grant me it. Lord, if in your heart you accept me as your servant, then please tell me something with your graceful mouth. Nityananda Avadut wanders in Navadvip. I do not understand what kind of person he is. The people say he is in the sannyas ashram, but at every moment he chews betel nuts and camphor. On his body he wears ornaments of gold, silver and pearls, things a sannyasi should not touch. Rejecting saffron and kopan, he wears splendid silk garments. He is always decorated with sandal paste and flower garlands. Why does he reject sannyasi's danda and instead hold an iron rod in his hand? Why does he always stay in a Shudra's home? I do not see how these actions are permitted by the scriptures. Therefore, a shoreless ocean of doubt now stays in my heart. Everyone says, Nityananda is very exalted. Why then does he not follow the rules of conduct proper for the sannyas ashram? What is at the heart of all this? Lord, if in your heart you accept me as your servant, then please tell me with your graceful mouth. When, at that auspicious moment, the saintly Brahmin asked this question, Lord Chaitanya, without trying to deceive him, explained to him the truth. Hearing the Brahmin's words, Lord Chaitanya smiled and said, Oh, listen, O Brahmin, neither material faults nor material virtues take birth in very elevated persons. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11:20-36, the Lord explains, My pure devotees have no material faults or material virtues. They are equal to all material things. They have attained me, who am beyond all material ideas. As a lotus leaf is untouched by water, so Lord Nityananda is always untouched by material impurity. O Brahman, please know without doubt that Lord Krishna always stays in Nityananda's body. There he always enjoys pastimes. If someone not highly qualified like Lord Nityananda were to act as he does, then that person would suffer. Sins would take birth within him. If someone other than Lord Shiva were to drink an ocean of poison, that person would perish. All the Puranas give proof of this in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is said, conditioned followers who are not actually in control should never imagine imitating the uncommon activities of the controller. One should not even think of imitating Krishna's rasa dance. If out of foolishness one tries to imitate Krishna's rasa dance, he will be killed, just like a person who wants to imitate Lord Shiva's drinking an ocean of poison. Transgressions of religious principles by the Supreme Controller testify to his great power. For example, fire can consume any abominable thing. This is the manifestation of the supremacy of fire. Anyone who, not knowing those truths, criticizes the actions of a very exalted person will suffer birth after birth for his offense. Anyone who criticizes or mocks a great soul will perish. I know this truth from Srimad Bhagavatam. I have heard it from the mouths of the Vaishnava gurus. With full attention, please hear what Srimad Bhagavatam says about persons who mock the actions of great souls. At the same time, Krishna and Balaram left to study. When their education was complete, they approached their guru. What dakshin shall we give? They asked their guru, and the guru consulted with his wife. The guru asked Krishna and Balaram to return the guru's dead sons. Then Krishna and Balaram went to the abode of Yamaraj. By Krishna and Balaram's order, the karma of the dead sons was at once destroyed. Then Krishna and Balaram took the dead sons from Yamaraj's abode and gave them to their guru. Hearing this very wonderful story, Devaki asked that her dead sons be given to her. By divine arrangement, one day, Devaki called for Krishna and Balaram and told them of her sufferings. She said, "Listen, listen, O Krishna and Balaram, O masters of yoga, your forms are eternal, transcendental and pure. You are two fathers of all the universes. I know that you are the two causes of all existence. By a part of one of your parts, the universes are created, maintained, and destroyed. To break into pieces the burden of the earth, you have descended to this world and become my sons. Taking them from Yamaraj's abode, you gave your guru's sons as dakshin. My heart yearns to see my 6 sons that Kamsa killed. Even though they had been dead for some time, you had the power to bring back your guru's sons. Please fulfill my desire in the same way. Please give me my 6 dead sons." Hearing their mother's words, Krishna and Balaram at once went to Maharaj Bali's abode. He at once seeing the 2 lords that were the objects of his worship, Maharaj Bali became plunged in an ocean of bliss. He at once placed the dead sons before the Lord's lotus feet. His eyes filled with tears and the hairs of his body were erect. Maharaj Bali joyfully offered prayers to the Lord's lotus feet, and then he wept. He prayed, "Glory, glory to Balaram, who is Sankashan and Anantashesh. Glory, glory to Krishna, who is the ornament of Gokul. Glory, glory to Balaram, the holder of the plough, the teacher of the Gopas, friendship personified. Glory, glory to Krishna, who is the wealth, thoughts, and life of his devotees. Even though the demigods and sages in the mode of pure goodness find it very difficult to see you, you are merciful to me. Even though I am a demon in the mode of ignorance, you have come before my eyes. For you there are neither friends nor enemies. This the Vedas say. Now I see with my own eyes. Though Putana came with poison-smeared breast to kill you, you still sent it to the world of Vaikuntha. Neither the Vedas nor the kings of yoga have the power to understand your feet. Bewildered by your Maya, even the kings of yoga do not understand you. How can I, a sinful demon, understand you? O Master of all the worlds, please be merciful to me. Please don't make me fall into the blind well of household life. I hold your 2 lotus feet to my heart. Peaceful at heart, I fall down before you, who are like kalpavriksha trees. Please make me your servant. Please give me the association of your devotees, those whose only desire is in my heart. Holding Krishna and Balaram's lotus feet to his heart, Bali Maharaj prayed in this way. Assuming the form of the Ganga, the water has washed Krishna and Balaram's feet, purifies Brahmaloka and Swaloka, and by drinking that sacred water and sprinkling on their heads, Bali Maharaj and his associates became very fortunate. Offering fragrances, flowers, incense lamps, garments and ornaments, Bali Maharaj bowed down before Krishna and Balaram's lotus feet. Then Bali Maharaj said, O Lords, if in your hearts you accept me as your servant, then please give me a command I may carry on my head. O Lords, anyone who follows your command is beyond all ordinary commands or prohibitions. Hearing Bali Maharaj's words, the 2 lords became pleased. Then they described the reason they had come. The Lord said, Listen, listen, O saintly Bali, to the reason we have come to your home. The sinner Kamsa killed our mother's 6 sons. They died because of their past sins. Grieving over her dead sons, our mother Devaki is very unhappy. She always weeps. Those 6 sons are now with you. Give them to please our mother. Those 6 souls were previously perfect demigods. They were grandsons of Lord Brahma. Please hear how they came to suffer. Prajapati Marichi was a son of Brahma. These 6 souls were previously the sons of Marichi. By divine arrangement, Brahma became bewildered, struck by one of Kamadev's arrows. Throwing aside all shame, his heart yearned after his own daughter. Seeing that, these 6 souls mocked Brahma. From this offence they fell down at once. Because they mocked a great soul, they took birth from a demoniac womb. Abandoning their demigod bodies, they took birth in the home of Hiranyakashipu, who hated the whole world. Tortured in many ways by Indra's thunderbolts, those 6 demons died. Then by the power of Yogamaya, they were brought down to earth and placed in Devaki's womb. Their sin was that they mocked Lord Brahma. For this they suffered in many ways. Even though Devaki was his sister, King Kamsa killed them as soon as they were born. Devaki does not know these secrets about her sons. Taking them from your place, we will give these 6 sons to Devaki. When they drink Devaki's breast milk, these 6 souls will at once be freed from the curse placed upon them. Then the Lord said, listen, listen, O saintly Bali, even a perfect demigod will suffer if he mocks a Vaishnava for his actions. How then can we describe how that offence will make an ordinary imperfect person suffer? An impious person who blasphemes a Vaishnava will suffer birth after birth. Listen, O Bali, I will teach this to you. Never blaspheme or mock a Vaishnava. If he blasphemes my devotee, even a person who worships me and chants my holy names will find many obstacles be placed before him. But anyone who loves me, my devotee, will attain me. This I say, it is true without any doubt. In the Varaha Purana it is said, they who serve the infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead may or may not attain perfection. There is some doubt, but he who devotedly serves the Supreme Lord's devotees will certainly attain perfection. Of this there is no doubt. This means that the Lord says, anyone who worships only me and does not worship my devotees also is proud and arrogant. He does not attain my mercy. In the Hari Bhakti Sudadaya it is said, proud and arrogant persons who worship Lord Krishna but do not worship the Lord's devotees do not attain Lord Krishna's mercy. O Bali, you are my dear servant. This is why I tell the secret to you. Hearing the Supreme Lord's instructions, saintly Bali became very happy at heart. Placing Lord Krishna's order on his head, Bali brought the 6 sons before him. Krishna and Balaram at once took the 6 sons and brought them to their mother. Seeing her previously dead infant sons, with a joyful heart and with great love, Devaki at once offered them her breast. Drinking from the breast that had once suckled the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sons at once attained transcendental knowledge. They all offered dandava obeisances to the Lord. Then the Lord glanced at them. The Lord placed his glance of mercy on them. Then the merciful Lord said to them, Go, go, O demigods, go to your own abodes. Do not again mock a great soul. Brahma is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is equal to the Supreme Lord himself. He never acts badly. Because you mocked him, you suffered great torments. Do not again do this as you did before. Go to Brahma and beg forgiveness for your offence. Then you will again have my mercy in your hearts. Hearing these words, the 6 souls very respectfully accepted the Lord's command. Bowing down before Krishna and Balaram and their father and mother, the 6 souls returned to their own home among the demigods. O Brahman, thus I have told you this story from Srimad Bhagavatam. You should give up all hostility to Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda is very exalted, but a person whose good fortune is small does not have the power to understand the truth. Anyone who respectfully sees Lord Nityananda's supernatural activities becomes delivered. To deliver the fallen souls, Lord Nityananda descended to this world. He will deliver every soul. His actions are beyond all ordinary commands and prohibitions. Who has the power to understand him? Anyone who, not understanding his fathomless virtue, criticizes Lord Nityananda will find his progress in devotional service to Lord Vishnu is stopped. O Brahman, go. Go at once to Navadvip. Repeat these words. Teach this to everyone. Anyone who in any way blasphemes Lord Nityananda will not be spared from Yamaraj's place. Anyone who loves Nityananda loves me. O Brahman, what I tell you is the truth. It is the truth. It is the truth. Even if he drinks wine, and even if he embraces an outcast girl, Nityananda is fit to be worshipped by Lord Brahma. This I tell you. This I tell you. Even if Lord Nityananda holds an outcast girl's hand, and even if he enters a wine shop, his lotus feet are still fit to be worshipped by Brahma. Hearing these words of Lord Chaitanya, the saintly Brahma became very happy. Great faith in Lord Nityananda took birth within him. He returned to his home in Navadvip. Returning to Navadvip, that fortunate Brahman at once approached Lord Nityananda. Without deception, he described his offence to the Lord. Listening, Lord Nityananda gave his mercy. Lord Nityananda's activities are like this. They are hidden from the Vedas. They are beyond the knowledge of ordinary people. Lord Nityananda is always on the spiritual platform. He is the king of yoga. This I say. He is Lord Anantashesh, the first of the demigods. His thousand-headed Lord Anantashesh, whose form is eternal and pure. Without attaining Lord Chaitanya's mercy, no one can understand this. Some people say Nityananda is like Balaram. Others say he is the great abode of Lord Chaitanya's love. And still others say he is the Amsa incarnation of someone who is very powerful. Still others say, I have no power to understand him. Some may say that Nityananda is a jiva. Others may say he is a devotee or a philosopher. Why should they not say what they like or what they think? Why should they not speak in these ways about Lord Chaitanya's Nityananda? I only pray that Lord Nityananda's lotus feet may always stay in my heart. He is my Lord. I am his servant, birth after birth. My desires all rest in his feet. I kick the head of anyone who insults him or blasphemes him. Lord Chaitanya is the master of my master. With great faith I embrace him in my heart. When will the day come when I will see Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda surrounded by their devotees in the 4 directions? Glory, glory to Lord Chaitanya. O Lord, please give to me Lord Nityananda. Please allow me to meet Lord Nityananda. O Lord Chaitanya, please be merciful to me. Please allow that I will never forget you. And Lord Nityananda, O my lords, you have descended to this world. Please grant that I will be a fit person to serve you both. The 2 moons, Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda, are my life and soul. I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their feet. Sri Nityananda Ram Ki Jai. So that was just on time, actually. So Lord Nityananda is the best devotee, the guru. He's the one who shows us how to serve more than anybody else. And it's interesting, if you want to understand Lord Nityananda, then you need the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And if you want to approach Lord Chaitanya, you need the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So anyway, you get the mercy of Lord Nityananda by giving everyone the name of Lord Chaitanya. And when he sees you giving people the name of Lord Chaitanya, then immediately he gives all facilities to that person. And with the Garanga campaign, when we used to do book distribution, quite a lot of the time you would hear devotees doing Sankirtan, and it would be punctuated by the occasional Gauranga! And we were very loud on the street. And it was because the devotees were meditating that this is how we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. So everyone's welcome at any time that they like to call out the holy name of Lord Chaitanya. Okay, Sri Nityananda Ram Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Shri Karnitai Maya Pashashi Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi.
We're just going to have Arti, Gora Arti, if the devotees is ready to stand up and clear the temple and set up for Gora Arti. So just while we're waiting on the arti, we'd just like to thank. I'd like to thank. Okay, we'll just make the announcements after. Yeah, we're ready to take it for arti. Shri Kornitai Mahapashashi Ki, Shri Nityananda Rama Ki, Shri Gornitai Ki, Taigur Premanande.
Possible to have it here. Here to be a little broken. Oh yeah. Right.
Kiva Jayo Jaya Gaura Chandra Aroti Kesho
Kiva Jayo Jaya Gaura Chandra
Kiva Jayo Jaya Gaura Chandra Aroti Kesho Ganta Madhurya Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Mridanga Madhurya Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Bahu Koti Chandradi Adana Bahu Koti Chandradi Vadana Chandradi Galadeshi Vandamana Kore Chalamana Kore Chalamana Galadeshi Vandamana Kore Chalamana Shiva Shukha Narada Preme Gada Gada Shiva Shukha Narada Preme Gada Gada Shiva Shukha Narada Preme Gada Gada Narada Bhakti Vinoda Deke Gaura Rasampada Bhakti Vinoda Deke Gaura Rasampada Bhakti Vinoda Deke Gaura Rasampada Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aroti Keshova Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aroti Keshova Janavi Tata Bhane Jagamana Gaurange Arotik Shobha Jagajana Manalova Gaurange Arotik Shobha Jagajana Manalova Gaurange Arotik Shobha Jagajana Shankha Bhaje, Gantha Bhaje, Madhu, Madhu, Madhu Bhaje. Shankha Bhaje, Gantha Bhaje, Madhu, Madhu, Madhu Bhaje. Shankha Bhaje, Gantha Bhaje, Madhu, Jaya Kodanithai, 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 Jaya Kodanithai. Jaya Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Nityananda Ram, Jaya Nityananda Ram. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Nitai Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. AC, Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Sadhu Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Praise to Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakan Radhakan Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Gangamai Jamai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Shri Bhagananga Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Shri Nityananda Ram Ki Jai. Sri Tulsinath Maharaj Ki Jai. Srimati Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitya Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Thanks everyone for attending this evening's festival. And it's very nectarian. So just before everyone disappeared, we'd just like to thank Shushma and Samita for sponsoring this evening's feast for the deities and the devotees. And I would like to thank Rincinda for making the nice new outfit. And the cooks tonight would have been Jagannath Priya, Ramananda and Janava Priya as well. And Vishnu. So I'd like to thank them now, and probably after Prasad we'll thank them again. And thank Raghunath for promoting the festival and inviting everybody along, online and locally as well. So thanks everyone for joining us here and online. And today the special, although we celebrated three things, the Vrinda Devi anniversary of our puja and the shalagrams, then the main festivals of Lord Nityananda. And we'd like to invite everybody to try to attain the mercy of Lord Nityananda by chanting Gauranga and by chanting Hare Krishna. So after three, we're going to ask everyone to chant Gauranga loudly. We'll do this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. That was a good start. 1, 2, 3. And finally. So this is the easiest way to please Lord Nityananda. Could make it any easier. And of course chant Hare Krishna. And in 1 month's time there'll be Gaur Purnima Festival, the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we look forward to seeing everybody online for that. And we're doing regular classes every day at the temple, so please join us online. And if you want to know what other programs we're doing, if you're new to our online programs, then you can contact us and find out the full program. Thank you very much. Shishi Kodnitai Mahaprashashi Ki, Nityananda Ram Prabhu Ki, Sri Nityananda Ram Ki, Sri Prabhupada Ki, Sri Govinda Ki, Jai Lord Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.